This is the East Idaho Prepcast on IdahoSports.com.
That's right. Welcome in another edition of the East Idaho Prepcast on IdahoSports.com, where we talk District 5 and 6 athletics week in, week out. My name is Brandon Baney. We are joined by our East Idaho expert, Sean Kane. What's up, Sean?
Hey, people have Facebook, right? And you have your Facebook memories. So I'm going to give you my Sean Kane Facebook memory from 7 years ago.
Okay.
It's a birthday of one of my former players, Josh Goodwin, and he won 3 state titles in singles and also got Century the first ever team title in boys. But that's Sean Kane's Facebook memory of today.
Okay. That's cool.
I very rarely look at that, but today it came up and I'm like, maybe I'll just start looking at, and there's usually a lot of bad memories where I was saying stuff about the Bears, but I won't share those. But I'm like, I'm going to look at my memories on the days I do podcasts to see if there's anything, because I'm always kind of into sports just to kind of see what was going on. So that was my memory today. It's his birthday, so I want to give him a shout out. He's a good friend and a big time athlete, played at ISU all 4 years for their tennis team, and lives in Kalispell, Montana now. But that's my memory of the day.
Cool. Yeah, it's always nice when you can give a birthday shout out on the Prepcast. I, of course, am a big sports fan as well. You're getting casual, Brandon, today. I'm wearing my Boston Red Sox t-shirt in lieu of the in honor of the baseball playoffs. The first team has already advanced to the next round, the Texas Rangers. So there you go.
Yeah, that was on last night, right?
Yeah, so they played yesterday, and then they played again today, and they already swept the 3-game series. They won the first 2 games, so they are moving on, and there are lots of teams moving on through the postseason, Sean. We talked about last week, district golf was taking place. We had a couple of results to share, but then we mentioned that some of the other district tournaments were still taking place after we had finished recording, but we wanted to update everybody ahead of state, which is this weekend up in North Idaho. Let's start at the just a rehash 4A District 5 Preston boys. Century girls are your team title winners. Joining them in the 4A ranks from District 6, this happened after we recorded last week, the Skyline boys and the Idaho Falls girls won district championships. So congratulations.
Yeah, nice job there. Taking the big trip up north.
That's right. And then at the 5A level, the District 5-6 golf tournament was held last week as well. Your team champions on the boys' side, it was Thunder Ridge. On the girls' side, Highland. Your individual champions on the girls' side, pretty clear cut. It was Becca Mon from Highland. She shot an 81 to get the win. The boys' individual title was pretty crazy, Sean. You had a tie for first between Mason Dorman of Madison along with Thunder Ridge's Buzz Lindsay. They both shot a 70. Dorman wins the playoff. He's your district champ.
Yeah, it's pretty exciting. That I love the playoff hole in golf. It's got to be the most exciting thing, right? Because probably everyone's done, so you probably get everyone being able to watch that, and it's pretty fun. That also happened for District 5 between Julian Bowie and the player from Preston too. So 2 playoffs in East Idaho to win that individual district championship. Pretty exciting.
Yeah, and then not only, so Dorman and Lindsay both shot a 70, and then a pair of Highland teammates were right behind at 71. Seth Floyd and Jackson Harding. They both shoot a 71. So you're talking about the top 4 golfers all separated by 1 stroke. That is cutthroat.
Yeah, and just the difference, right? Thunder Ridge wins 300 strokes and Highland boys come in second with 303. So it couldn't have been any closer.
and then Madison was at 306.
306, yeah.
Yeah, it was very tightly contested boys championship there in golf. So good luck to all of our East Idaho golfers. Again, the 4A state golf tournament taking place at the University of Idaho golf course in Moscow, and the 5A state golf tournament taking place at the Lewiston Country Club. We will have state golf results for you next week on the Prepcast. But Sean, the postseason has also started in Soccer. We had boys and girls district tournament matches Tuesday, October 3rd, which means it's district tournament bracket time, which means if you are watching this Prepcast on the IdahoSports.com YouTube channel or Facebook page, I'm going to share my screen, put the brackets up on the screen, and you can follow along there. If you're listening audio only at IdahoSports.com or wherever you download your podcasts, it's all good. We've got all the district brackets on the homepage at IdahoSports.com. You can follow along that way. Where do you want to start, Sean? I'll let you choose boys soccer or girls soccer.
Let's go boys.
Okay, so we'll start with boys soccer. Let me get it teed up here. And let's start with tournaments that actually took place yesterday. So we'll start at Class 4A District 5. This is the Southeast Idaho Conference, where Century is your number 1 seed. Pocatello is the 2. Preston is the 3. Pocatello hosted Preston on Tuesday at Irving Middle School. The Thunder get the 2-1 win, which sets up the winner's bracket showdown on Thursday the 5th between Century and Pocatello. Preston will play the loser of that match in a loser-out contest. This is a one-bid league to state, Sean. Now, Century has been the dominant team all throughout the regular season, but in soccer, all it takes is one slip up in one match, and you could be sitting home.
Yeah, and we've seen that happen a lot of times. The number 1 seed in soccer doesn't make it, right? Because just one bad game, one penalty kick, one goal, that's it. And you gotta love postseason soccer, because sometimes the best team doesn't necessarily win, and kind of makes it exciting. But it'll be a pretty exciting game Thursday at Century as they play for the 30th time or whatever it is. But it'll be fun. Century's had Pocatello's number this year. They've beaten them by multiple goals each game, but who knows? You never know in soccer when it gets to the postseason, and you just never know what's going to happen. So that'll be an interesting matchup for sure.
Yeah, with Century, they ended up getting wins over Pocatello by scores of 4-0 and 6-0. They've also swept Preston this year by scores of 8-2 and 3-0. So, Century is the favorite here. A lot of seniors on this year's Diamondbacks team. Players like Tyson Price and Brody Stanton, and they've got Gianni Alvarez and Gabe Dickerson, and this is a good group of seniors at Century. We'll keep an eye on it. Century plays Pocatello Thursday the 5th in what we would call the undefeated semifinal, if you will. Also starting yesterday was the Class 3A District 5 tournament. Sean, American Falls is your number 1 seed. They get to host the district tournament. Everybody's got to come to American Falls to play these matches. This is no surprise. American Falls, a very good team this year. They're the 1 seed. The 2 seed is Marsh Valley. Aberdeen is 3. Snake River is 4. We have the opening round of matches on Tuesday, October 3rd. American Falls shuts out Snake River 9-0. Marsh Valley nips Aberdeen nips Marsh Valley 2-1. So we've already got a quote unquote upset. And so that sets up loser out game Thursday, October 5th in American Falls, Snake River against Marsh Valley. And then on the winner's side, you got the Beavers up against Aberdeen. Boy, American Falls and Aberdeen. Those two don't know each other well, do they?
That's a hop, skipping away, right? So
yeah,
that'll be a good match. At least Aberdeen doesn't have to travel very far.
That's right.
I mean, it's really close. So it always comes down to an Aberdeen American Falls matchup somewhere in those brackets.
Yeah, American Falls this year was 11-3-3 overall, 5-0-1 in league play. The one draw came against Aberdeen. They drew 2-2 earlier in September. They then won the rematch 2-0. So it's been a pretty tight pair of matches with Aberdeen so far this year. So we will keep an eye on that one.
And what I was going to say is you got to look at American Falls and Aberdeen as like an inner city rival. Like it's that kind of rivalry. It's 2 different cities, they're really close, but I always think of it as like, when Pokey plays Highland or something like that. It's kind of that kind of atmosphere rivalry between those 2 schools.
Yeah, definitely. It's always fun when these two get together, and so they will play in the undefeated semifinal in the District 5 bracket. Let's just stay at 3A, Sean. District 6 tournament starts next Tuesday, October 10th. Basically 1 and 2 are locked in, as are 3 and 4. We just don't know what order. So basically you've got Sugar Salem is 5-0. Teton is 4-1, and then you've got Firth at 1-4 and South Fremont at 0-5. So there's a pretty clear delineation here between the top two and the bottom two. And it's high stakes, Sean. Only 1 seed to state available. Not even the chance at a play-in match. It is going to be a really good team. Sugar is 14-0-1. Teton is 12-2. Somebody really good is going to be stuck at home.
Yeah, we saw this last year too. It's a brutal bracket for those two teams because all signs point to that being the matchup for that game. And I mean it's going to be a high stakes game, and they know each other. That's a big rivalry as well. So man, a lot of pressure on that game if that's what ends up panning out.
Yeah, they Sugar and Teton met for the first time on September 26th. The Diggers channeled their inner football team and won by a touchdown, 7-0. The rematch comes tomorrow, Thursday, October 5th, regular season finale for each of those teams. Teton needs to win to force a tie for the league title. If Sugar wins, they are the number 1 seed. And Sugar Salem is already hosting the championship as well. You'll notice right here they rotate sites. So last year Firth hosted, this year it's Sugar Salem, regardless of whether the Diggers are there or not. So we'll keep an eye on that one for sure. And then we've got at the 5A level, Sean, the District 5-6 tournament. Rigby and Highland are kind of already slotted in. Rigby is going to be the 4 seed. Highland is going to be the 3 seed. We were waiting on Thunder Ridge and Madison to figure out who's going to be the 1 and who's going to be the 2. But basically, and maybe Highland isn't locked into that 3 seed. I'm going to have to, because the standings, Sean, were ridiculous this year. Thunder Ridge played Madison last night, Tuesday the 3rd, and won 3-1. So the final standings look like this: Thunder Ridge 3 wins, no losses, 3 ties. Madison 2 wins, 1 loss, 3 ties. Highland 2 wins, no losses, 4 ties. So between Thunder, Highland, and Madison, they tied 7 times with each other this year.
And that's soccer, right? You just never. It's never guaranteed. Like soccer, I don't think it's ever guaranteed. There's so many different scenarios and things that can happen in the game. And especially when it's that even. I mean, I guess the good news is these games will not end in ties, right? These games are going to go to the PKs. And again, whoever you talk to, some people like it, some people don't. I think it's kind of exciting. But, you force a tie, you might not even be the best team, but you win the PKs. So, yeah, it's going to be up in the air. It's not very clear. But I still kind of like Thunder Ridge boys. They kind of have a lot of good players coming into this, and that'd kind of be my favorite if you had to ask me in this bracket.
Yeah, Thunder and Highland tied each other twice this year. And then Highland and Madison tied twice. Highland literally tied with everyone. Madison both times 0-0. So I don't know. Who knows? I don't know.
Yeah, and then and with soccer too, like a tie, if you don't know the full story of the game, you don't know, like, was it just really a tie, or was there a penalty kick? You know what I mean? There's so many different little microcosms within a soccer game that just seeing the results doesn't always paint the picture.
Yeah, so the opening round of this district tournament is on Saturday, October 7th. I will know who's slotted where. I got to figure out who goes where in this bracket, because
do they have a Kansas City playoff for soccer?
That's right. They have they line up at the 50-yard line and see who can make it. Yeah,
that'd be kind of entertaining.
But. Right? That would be kind of fun. But that starts Saturday. 1.5 bids to state from this one. So second place gets the chance to go to state via a play-in match. They would play the 5th place team from District 3. Spoiler alert, District 3 was pretty good this year. So, that's a tough way to get in. You definitely want to win the district if you can. So that's boys soccer, Sean. Let's keep it on the girls' side, and we'll just start where we left off. So Highland is the 1 seed in girls soccer for District 5-6, 5A. They will play Rigby, the 4 seed, on Saturday. And then again, we were waiting on 2 and 3 between Thunder Ridge and Madison because they both went 3 and 3 in league this year. And wouldn't you know it, they both beat each other. So Thunder won the first matchup 3-0. And then Madison won yesterday, Sean, last night 3-0. So who gets that tiebreaker? I don't know yet. But same deal here. 1.5 bids to state.
And so I just wish all the district tournaments had the same rules on how they did the tiebreaker in the seeding, but it seems like every district has a different maybe set of rules. So that'd be my plea. My plea is like, why don't we just have one kind of way we do it so we'd know? But anyways, just a sidebar there.
Yeah, Highland, though, they went 6-0 in conference play this year, so they are the favorites coming into districts. Their tightest match of the season came against Thunder Ridge back in September, a 1-0 win there for the Lady Rams. But this is a good team with Tambry Bell and DeVry Bell and Mackenzie Wallace Sr. leading the charge, and Caitlin Stats is always playing really well, and so. This is a Highland team that I've been very impressed with this year, and we'll see if the Lady Rams can make it to state. This tournament again starts on Saturday, October 7th. 4A District 5 girls soccer, Sean, started yesterday. Pocatello is the 1 seed we talked about all year. They are pretty consistently have been number 1 or 2 in the coaches poll. The Thunder went through the regular season 14-0-1. Preston gets the 2 seed. Century is the 3. Preston actually won here 2-0 yesterday. So Preston and Pocatello will play Thursday night, 4:00 at Lookout Field in the undefeated semifinal. Century will await the loser in a loser-out match.
Yeah, I mean, pretty cut and dry here. Pocatello's been one of the top teams all year, and you get a sense like it's going to be a Pocatello, like Bishop Kelly kind of maybe state championship is kind of what I'm feeling in the back of my mind.
Yes, and that's no slight to Preston or Century, but man, Pocatello girls have been so dominant. Honestly, kind of like the Century boys, right? There wasn't much drama in District 5 soccer this year.
No,
certainly, but best of luck to the Indians as they'll battle Pocatello in that undefeated semifinal on Thursday at 4:00. Okay, 3A, Sean, District 5. The district tournament started yesterday. Unlike the boys where it's 4 teams, there's 5 teams because Malad plays girls soccer but not boys. So Marsh Valley is your 1 seed. They got an opening round bye. And yesterday you had Malad defeat Aberdeen 5-0. Malad is the 4 seed, Aberdeen the 5. And then you also had number 2 American Falls beat number 3 Snake River 6-4. So Thursday, you've got a loser-out match with Aberdeen and Snake River. You've also got a semifinal with Marsh Valley and Malad.
Yeah, American Falls and Marsh Valley always seem to end up in this kind of scenario. So, someone's here.
Somebody's at the door. It might be the bug control guy. Hang tight.
Okay.
Fill some time real quick.
Okay. Yeah, so American Falls and Snake River 6-4. That's a high scoring game, and you think Snake River was talked about a little bit earlier this year, and you would like to think they're going to come back out and get another opportunity to get to state. And yeah, Marsh Valley has been the predominantly dominant team this year in this conference. And so I like Marsh Valley and American Falls. I like Marsh Valley going to play American Falls in that game there. And I was going to check and see what the final standings are. Yeah, so Marsh Valley went 7-0 in conference, and American Falls went 6-1. Sacred River went 4-4. Malad 2-6, and Aberdeen 0-8. And American Falls lost to Teton, which is a good team, but they did lose to Marsh Valley in kind of an interesting score, 3-8 on August 31st. And then they did tie Marsh Valley 1-1 in September. So this Marsh Valley American Falls game could be a very tremendous game for the championship. So I just kind of went over if, Marsh Valley and American Falls, because early in the year, Marsh Valley beat American Falls 8-3, but then later in September 21st, Marsh Valley and American Falls tied 1-1. So potentially a pretty good matchup coming in this draw.
Could be. Definitely. Never a dull moment on the Prepcast, Sean. So, oh, lordy. All right. Our last bracket is 3A District 6. See, this is why I gave you the option to, we could record Wednesday or Thursday, and you said Wednesday. So, all right, I got a lot of stuff going on today, but
I got to do parent-teacher conferences.
Oh, that's also pretty important.
And then I have to I have to go to my kids and then do my students. So I would not be available really tomorrow night.
Gotcha. Okay. No, that makes sense. That checks out for sure. Okay. 3A District 6, Sean. Kind of the same story. Sugar Salem and Teton, two really good teams. The Diggers are 15-0. Teton is 10-2. Last year, this was a one-bid league. It's a one-bid league again this year. And last year, of course, Sugar was undefeated going into the district championship where they lost to Teton. Teton snatched that lone bid, and they're looking to do the same again this year. They will play one final time in the regular season. Sugar did win the first matchup this year by a final score of 9-2, also winning by a touchdown like the boys did. But I don't know. We'll see. Could be interesting.
When it's Teton and Sugar in a district championship, throw your records out the window and just settle in for a good matchup.
Yeah, exactly. And listeners might be wondering, hey, where was the High Country Conference 4A District 6? Haven't gotten those brackets yet. So if you're out there and you have those, send them to Brandon at IdahoSports.com. We'll get them up on the website. But again, we've got district tournament brackets for boys and girls soccer. We'll have volleyball soon as well. All on the homepage at IdahoSports.com for every district around the state. So yeah, keep it there. Sean, let's wrap up with football. Speaking of bracket talk, I just dropped earlier today the first bracketology post for the high school football season. I'll do this for the last 3 weeks of the regular season here in October. I thought we could just go classification by classification and kind of break down, the big storylines with the bracket and how things look right now. That sound okay?
Oh yeah. I
mean,
everyone's been asking about it. So,
so let's start at 5A, where East Idaho will get 2 bids to state automatically. There is also an at-large bid available as well. It's going to be fierce competition for that one at-large bid. But the story is basically Highland, Rigby, Madison, all kind of competing for those 2 spots. They all start conference play here over the final 3 weeks of the regular season. And any of the 3 could get on a run here and win. In fact, there was a 3-way tie last year or 2 years ago when Madison beat Rigby. Everyone remembers that. But the way we projected it currently is we went with Max Prep's rankings. Like when you've got teams that are tied or teams that haven't played any conference games yet, I just said, okay, who's got the highest Max Prep's ranking? And for our projections, that's going to be the team that gets in. So right now it's Highland and Rigby. They both have higher Max Preps rankings than Madison. And Madison, if it were to shake out that way and they were fighting for that at-large bid, they only trail 1 team in the Max Preps rankings, and that's Middleton. So right now, according to our projections, Madison would be out. Middleton from the Boise Valley would get that final at-large spot, but Madison could certainly play their way into a top 3 spot by knocking off Rigby or Highland or both.
Yeah, and Madison's kind of been the question mark, I think, in that conference all year. But Highland and Rigby play this week, so that's a huge game, I think, for the whole state kind of wise implications as well. So one to keep your eye on. But Madison definitely has got to win at least one of them, right? I mean, they couldn't lose both and have a chance, I don't think.
Yeah, so this Friday it's Highland and Rigby, and then the 13th it's Highland and Madison, and then the 20th Rigby and Madison. And so we will find out pretty quickly here. 2 teams get in for sure, possibly 3, depending on who it is that's fighting for that at-large bid there. Class 4A, Sean. District 5 gets 1 automatic bid. District 6 gets 2. So in our current projections, those bids would go to Pocatello and Hillcrest and Shelley. Now, we projected Shelley because they're 2-0 in conference, even though I will note Shelley still has to play both Hillcrest and Skyline coming up, so that could change. But either way, Skyline would also comfortably be in. And so the way it works in Class 4A football is there are 8 auto bids awarded. 1 from up north, 2 from District 3, 2 from the Magic Valley, 1 from District 5, and then 2 from District 6. And those 8 automatically get the top 8 seeds, and they're slotted based upon their Max Preps rankings. So you could be a conference champion like Sandpoint and be seeded number 8 overall because there's 7 teams that are higher than you in the Max Preps rankings. All that winning a district guarantees is you get a top 8 seed. It does not guarantee a top 5. And so I know that was a question last year with the bracket. But as it stands, and then the next 8 slots, 9 through 16, all determined by Max Preps ranking. Okay, who are the next 8 best teams according to Max Preps? And so who's in currently in our projections? Well, from District 5, it's Pocatello and Preston, believe it or not. And then also from District 6, Sean, we have Hillcrest, Shelley, Skyline, Bonneville, Idaho Falls. 5 teams from District 6.
Yeah, I mean, I did the Idaho Falls Century game last week, and I said Idaho Falls was the best, now 2-4, but they're the best 1-4 team I've seen all year, but they might not get in. So I still feel like they have to probably win most of their games to be secure in that at large, but
And I guess we should mention as well, in my bracketology post, I break down how each classification handles the bids. And then I also said, okay, here are the matchups. If the playoffs started today, here's what the matchups would be. So, backtracking to 5A briefly, Rigby would host Mountain View right now. That'd be an interesting, spicy matchup. Highland would have a first round bye. At the 4A level, Sean, Hillcrest would be the number 1 overall seed. They would host Burley, the 16 seed, as it stood. You would have then Shelley as the 6 seed hosting Emmett, the 11 seed. Skyline would be the 9 seed. They would have to travel all the way to Sandpoint, the number 8 seed, for a playoff opener, which would be brutal. Wow. Bonneville right now would be the 10 seed. They would travel to Skyview, the number 7 seed. And then Idaho Falls would be the 14 seed. They would travel to number 3 seed Pocatello. So you'd have Idaho Falls and Pokey in the first round. And then Preston, the 15 seed, would have to travel to Bishop Kelly, the number 2 seed. Which of those potential matchups, and of course this is going to change a lot over the next 3 weeks, but which of those is most intriguing to you?
Well, I mean, Idaho Falls versus Pocatello, I think, is super intriguing. I've seen Idaho Falls a few times live. I've seen Pocatello a few times live, and after last week and Shelley almost taking the win over Pocatello, I mean, I wouldn't want to play. Idaho Falls is a team I don't want to play first round. I think they have a potential to do a lot of things with Ellison at quarterback, and they have just a host of receivers, and they have the running game starting to pick up. I wouldn't want to play them. And just I think they're a team that has a lot of potential and is able to kind of get it all together at the right time. They could win. I mean, they had all kinds of chances to beat Skyline, which I think Skyline is definitely really good too. So Idaho Falls, I don't want to see. I find Emmett Shelley a very interesting matchup. I think they played first round a while ago, like maybe 2 years ago too, or something. But I find Emmett and Shelley. I find Shelley just the most intriguing team in 4A right now, to be honest with you.
Shelley had a 7-0 lead on Pocatello like all of last week, and then Pocatello kind of made a quarterback switch at halftime. Sean, they put Julian Bowie in at quarterback, which was interesting.
And they had more Carter Christensen running the ball too.
Carson
Or
Christensen.
Carson, excuse me.
Yeah, no, you're good. He ended up scoring the lone touchdown for Pocatello, and then Garrett Keller kicked the 33 yarder for the win there with a minute 30 to play. So yeah, I don't know. To me, the most intriguing would be Skyline having to travel all the way up to Sandpoint. That's a long trip to make for the opening round for the 3-time defending champs. And of course, Skyline could easily get one of those 2 auto bids and have a higher seed in a home game.
And I can tell you, we talked about this though, but if you have to travel or do anything, if you have a good running game, I feel like you're fine. And I feel like I feel like Skyline and Bishop Kelly have the 2 best running games maybe out of all these 4A teams. And I feel like Skyline, if you have to go and travel and maybe the weather's bad up there, you can run the ball. I think you feel pretty confident in your abilities, just being able to run the ball.
Definitely. All right, let's go to 3A, Sean, where District 5 and District 6 each get 2 automatic bids, and then there are 3 at-large bids available. District 6 is the easy one, right? Sugar Salem and Teton. They're both undefeated still, and they're both in. District 5 gets a little trickier. Snake River right now looks like the best team. According to Max Preps, Marsh Valley at 0-6, Sean. Not only are they in, they're in comfortably as a number 10 seed out of 14 at 0-6. Strength of schedule, boosting up the Eagles.
I mean, they did. I think, and I remember talking about maybe a Soda Springs one year played a really tough schedule and kind of had the same scenario where they didn't win a lot of games, but because their schedule was so tough, they were able to carve out a spot in that ranking system so they could potentially make the playoffs. So it seems like Marsh Valley's kind of found themselves in the same footing, if you would.
Yeah, so as it stands right now, Marsh Valley would get that second auto bid, according to our projections, and then American Falls would actually get an at-large bid, and I've kind of been talking about American Falls a lot this year, a team that I really like, and so Sugar Salem would be the number 1 overall seed. They'd get a first-round bye. Snake River would be the number 5 seed. The 5 district champs automatically get the top 5 seeds, so Snake River would be the 5 seed. They'd have a first-round game with Wood River, currently the number 12 seed. Again, these aren't official. They're just projections. But it would be Wood River at Snake River. Battle of the Rivers there, Sean. Teton would be the 6th seed hosting American Falls, the 11 seed, an all-East Idaho matchup there. And then you would have Marsh Valley as the 10 seed having to travel to Weiser, the number 7 seed. Now, Marsh Valley, people are going to go, winless team making the playoffs. First of all, I think Marsh Valley will get at least a win, if not 2, between now and the end of the season. And B, if they didn't get another win, they would fall out. Enough teams would surpass them. Yeah. So this is kind of just a weird blip on the radar.
Probably because a lot of those teams have losing records anyways.
Yes.
Right. How many of them have losing records? So, I mean, it makes sense that they're in now, but when all the games have finished, you probably couldn't be 0-8 and get in.
Right. and I mean, specifically South Fremont is out currently. They play Marsh Valley in 2 weeks. I mean, if they win that game, they probably leapfrog Marsh Valley. You would think, but yeah. I don't know. Pretty interesting there. 2A, Sean. This is where East Idaho fans have a lot to talk about. Is at the 2A level. Okay. Because the only thing that is guaranteed are your 5 district champions automatically get in and they get first round buys. So currently that would be North Fremont from District 6, West Side from District 5. Beyond that, the remaining 6 at-large bids are determined via Max Preps ranking, but there's a caveat.
Oh, the travel thing, right?
No. So that was last year. That isn't a thing this year, but we've seen the last 2 years District 5 on the strength of West Side being such a dominant program and near the top of the Max Preps ranking, that rising tide lifted all the boats in District 5, where 2 years ago, 4 of the 5 teams made the playoffs. Last year, 4 of the 5 teams made the playoffs, right? It was Bear Lake, West Side, Aberdeen, and Soda Springs. They all made the postseason. That's not going to happen this year because there's a new rule in place that says a district can't take more than 2 of those at-large bids. So the maximum you could send to the playoffs from any district is 3 teams, your district champ plus 2 at-larges. And this comes into play because right now, West Side would be in as the number 2 seed overall. Bear Lake would be in as the number 8 seed, and Aberdeen would be in as the number 7 seed. Okay, so you start looking down the list of Max Preps teams. Well, here's Malad, and they're ranked 10th in Max Preps. But because of this rule, Malad would be out, and teams behind them would get in.
Wow. I don't even know what to say. I mean, you've got the rankings, but then now you've got another rule, and I don't know. Oh man, that's rough. Hopefully they win the games, right? The conference games, and the right teams get in. But say you have a bad game or someone gets injured, your one game really is going to decide your season, kind of, right? I mean,
and it may have already happened for Malad. They played Aberdeen last Friday and lost 42-30. They played really well. They just couldn't get a stop on defense. But I don't know. I don't know if I like that, where Malad is 10th in Max Preps rankings and they've got a winning record, and yet there's an arbitrary rule that says your league can't get more than 3 teams in.
That rule seems to kind of handcuff having a good league, right? I mean,
yeah.
And that's kind of, I don't know if I like that. If everyone's that good, I mean, I don't know if I like that. That's more of the playing on we want more people to participate than actually have the best teams in the bracket. And I'm always on the best teams in the bracket personally.
It's that classic representation versus best teams in argument. And so who benefits from this, right? Because everybody moves up a spot in the conga line if Malad drops out. So who benefits? Another East Idaho team, ironically enough. Ryrie would now slot in as the last team into the playoffs behind Firth, who would be in as an at-large according to our projections, and then North Fremont, who we've got winning the league. So West Side would be the 2 seed with a first round bye. North Fremont would be the 3 seed with a first round bye. Aberdeen would be 7, Bear Lake 8, Firth 9, Ryrie 11. That last slot right now would belong to the Bulldogs. They just lost a double overtime game with Firth, 36-30. It was a really compelling game in double OT. So I don't really have a problem with Ryrie being the last team in. It's just interesting. I find this whole new rule kind of interesting.
And look at those first round matchups are extremely interesting for this division, right? Wendell versus Aberdeen. That jumps out to me as the 10 and the 7 seed playing first round. And then you get Firth, Bear Lake having to play each other in the first round. I'm sure they'd be super excited for that. But yeah, those first round matchups are super interesting if it panned out today. But right, we're going to see some changes for sure as this develops.
Yeah,
season.
So if the playoffs were today, you'd have Ryrie at Melba, 11 versus a 6. You would have Wendell at Aberdeen, 10 at a 7, and then Firth the 9 at Bear Lake the 8. Sean, Bear Lake and Firth played earlier this year in Firth. I was on the call for that game. Firth had the lead in the fourth quarter until they just didn't tackle on a screen pass. Bear Lake threw a screen to Bryson Crane. Nobody could tackle him, and 80 yards later, he was in the end zone for the game-winning touchdown. They won 14-13. It was a really close game. I'd be okay with that first round rematch.
That'd be exciting. I don't know if they want it, but I'm just
right.
The teams want that, but yeah, I like it for East Idaho.
Yeah, I'd be okay with that. So that's the story with 2A. That's the big story. Is there's, regardless of who it is, there's going to be a very good team from District 5 that is not going to get into the playoffs, at least at my interpretation of the rule. And if I'm not reading that correctly, somebody please let me know. But that is the way I interpreted it and kind of, saw it shaken out. So anyways, and the travel rule is not in place, where last year they had this rule that said like, oh, well, we can change the seedings if we want to make the matchups closer, but
for travel costs or whatever, that's gone.
I didn't see that in there. So,
okay.
Yeah. Okay. 8-man football. And then we'll get out of here. 1A D1 District 5-6 gets 1 bid. It's going to go to Grace or Butte County. They play in a couple weeks. The loser of that game is still going to get in via the at-large. So really what's at stake is
placement,
right? If you win the district, you get a first round bye. If not, you're still going to have a home playoff game. It's just 1 extra game. Right now we have Grace as our projected champion only because they're 1-0 in the league. Butte County hasn't played yet a conference game. That could easily flip-flop. Butte County would be, so Grace would be the 3 seed in our current projections. Butte County would be the 5 seed, basically the best at-large team, hosting Idaho City, the worst team. So we'll see. We do have to mention though, Sean, before we get any further down this rabbit hole, we should have let off with this and we didn't. That was my bad. But last Friday, Butte County was playing Kendrick on IdahoSports.com, where all of a sudden in the second half of that game, play stopped because of a very serious situation involving one of the Butte County players, Dylan Waymeyer, who was not, from what I could tell, was not in the game. He was on the sidelines, but had a medical emergency. Game stopped. Medical personnel had to come and treat him. Ultimately, he was taken to, I think it was St. Alphonsus Hospital in Boise or Nampa, wherever that's at. But he's still in the hospital and kind of fighting. It didn't look good for a while, and then it looked encouraging. And regardless, a very scary situation for a great young man in that Butte County community, Dylan Waymeyer. Always a scary situation to see.
Yeah, it's not what you want. You never want to see anyone get hurt, and you never want to see him to have any issues if he wasn't even playing either, right? That's the worst. Luckily, I mean, I guess on hindsight, luckily it happened there, and that's probably the closest response time you're going to get. It's probably because you already had medical people there.
Yes,
yeah.
And we just happened to be there broadcasting the game, and that's never easy. I want to commend our broadcasters, Gary Jones and Logan Green, for bringing the appropriate tone to the situation. I mean, the game stopped and it was called, right? Kendrick got the win, which is not super important. And then both teams knelt at midfield and they prayed for a long time, because this was a scary, like you could hear a pin drop at that football field in Middleton. It was a really scary deal. A GoFundMe has been set up for Dylan to help defray some of his medical expenses. We've shared it a couple of times on social media. All you have to do is go to the IdahoSports.com Facebook page or Twitter account, and you'll see the link there. This GoFundMe was created 4 days ago, Sean, and they came in with a goal of $25,000. They've almost doubled that. They've raised over $42,000 so far. Just the generosity is just incredible here, isn't it?
Yeah, that's unbelievable. What a great thing to ease any other. I mean, if you can ease anything when family's going through a situation like that, taking some of that financial burden away is just it's magical, right? It's just, that's what it is. It's a miracle in itself. So I'm impressed with the communities we have here in Idaho for sure to be able to do that.
So Dylan was taken to the hospital last Friday and immediately goes into emergency surgery to remove a blood clot, to stop the bleeding, and to reduce swelling on his brain. Anytime you're talking about swelling on the brain, that's very serious stuff. And so, this is from the GoFundMe. This is not me talking. This is from the GoFundMe, fighting for his life. And so, obviously our thoughts and prayers are with Dylan. Absolutely. As he recovers. And again, that GoFundMe link, you can find it on the IdahoSports.com Facebook page, as well as Twitter. And if any amount helps. And so anything you can donate to help this young man out from Butte County would be greatly appreciated. But a good reminder, right, Sean? There's more to life than a silly game like football.
Absolutely. That's like the game I did earlier this year with Highland and Century, and Deacon Crabtree went down and you could hear the pin drop, but both sides were supportive and making sure it was all right. And that was the best part of it, seeing everyone come together just to make sure, the young man was all right. Cause that's, at the end of the day, that's what matters. Everyone's going to go on and, live their lives and do different things. And that's an important thing we're looking for.
Yeah, it's pretty incredible. So Dylan Waymeyer from Butte County, our thoughts and prayers are certainly with you as you continue to recover. You know, big consideration too is he's at this hospital now in the Treasure Valley, and you know, mom and dad live at home in Arco.
Yeah.
That's 5 hours away. That also is, you know, a strain on the family. So yeah, scary situation for sure. And our thoughts and prayers are with Dylan Waymeyer there. Last, no good way to pivot out of that story, but 1A D2 football, Sean. It's Rockland and North Gem. There's 2 bids available to state, 2 auto bids, and that's it. There are no at-large bids in 1A D2 football. North Gem beat Mackey last week, 28-22. Rockland plays Mackey this Friday. We think Rockland's going to win that game. Teague Matthews had 9 touchdowns last week for Rockland in a win over Rimrock. If Rockland wins that game over Mackey, it's pretty much done. Rockland and North Gem will get the 2 playoff spots, and then they will play in the final week of the regular season to see who is the league champ.
Yeah, Teague Matthews has been tearing it up for Rockland. There's tons of Twitter clips of him running for touchdowns, so that's been pretty fun to see. You know, we got to see him play basketball at Grace Lutheran one time, and he's worth the price of admission to that football game. I can tell you that much.
Definitely. You want to win the league. The league champion does get a first round bye. The second place team would have to travel to the second place team from District 4. That could be Hagerman, it could be Dietrich, could be Castleford, could be Hanson, could be Camas County. I'm not sure. There's a lot to sort out over there in District 4, but it's a road game and a first round game. So you definitely want to win the league if you can. But if you want to see all of the, the bracketology projections and how each classification is handling the postseason this year, you can do that at IdahoSports.com. We've got the bracketology post right at the top of the page, and you can check it out there.
With a very classy picture of you on it there.
Yeah, my floating head in the middle of a bracket, and then it says "Following the Science." Yep.
Maybe I'll wear a mask next time for the bracket. Get it? Falling. Anyways.
Yes. Yeah. Anyways, before we dovetail into that discussion, we'll wrap it up. Thank you for tuning into the East Idaho Prepcast, everybody. This is the time of year where IdahoSports.com is going to be the place you want to go. We've got coaches polls still going. We've got district tournament brackets. We'll have state tournament brackets very soon. Bracketology every week. We do the weekly rewind where we try to recap every football game. Basically, this is the time of year where you just want to go to the site every day and get caught up on what's happening. So
yeah, because like you said, we have the district brackets, so we'll have a bunch of state brackets in no time here for soccer, volleyball, cross country too has got to be coming up pretty close to cross country state too. We'll have golf results. So I forget when they moved all these sports now, right? So now we've got all these other sports and it's just golf. I'm making it sound way bigger than it is, but there's just everything happens it's kind of slow, and then everything happens all at once with the districts and the state, and then and then football goes on forever. But these other sports they're coming towards the end, which if you can't, it's hard to believe.
Yeah, and cross country, by the way, this year is being hosted at the Portneuf Wellness Complex right there in Pocatello for cross country. So yeah, it's always nice when East Idaho gets the host. So
yeah, a lot of people really like how they do the course there at the Wellness Center. I think it's I guess I would call it kind of compact, right? Because they have it just in that area there, but it seems to be a pretty cool venue. And then they've given out awards on that stage, right? They have that amphitheater there, so it's kind of got a little of everything. What a cool, if you've never been to the amphitheater and the Wellness Center, it's a very cool venue. But I think it's just what a cool venue to be able to give out those awards and have all the seating and kind of make a cool spectacle of cross country, the winners and the championship teams there.
Very viewer friendly venue there at Portneuf Wellness Complex. It's easy to follow a lot of the action, where other courses you're basically running as much as the athletes to try and watch them. So
yeah, you can pretty much watch it all, right? I mean, the bigger tracks, they're in the woods by a lake or whatever. You can't always see everything. You definitely you can catch it all and kind of see the turns and the different turns and the different taking of lead and pacing happen all at the same time.
Yep. So anyways, a lot of stuff happening here in East Idaho. We've gone long again, Sean. We had somebody come to my door in the middle of the show. I promise it'll be more on point, a little tighter next week. All right.
All right. I believe you.
Yeah, that sounded real convincing. I appreciate you.
The people want to hear me, Brandon. So if we have to go long, we'll do it, because
that's right.
I like my viewers.
That's right. All right. Well, thanks for tuning in, everybody, to the East Idaho Prepcast. For Sean Kane, I'm Brandon Baney, and we'll see you next time on IdahoSports.com.